Awesome. Well, appreciate it. This is our annual family meeting, parent meeting, orientation, however you want to term it. Appreciate everybody being here. I think I know pretty much everybody who is on here, so we greatly appreciate you all being here. We always start our meetings off with prayer, so we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we're going to get started. I'm going to ask Mike if he wouldn't mind opening us up, and then we'll go from there.
Dear Father in heaven, we just thank you for this evening, Lord. We thank you for basketball, and we thank you for the families gathered here. We pray that you would just be with us as we go into this season. You would give us direction and guidance, and that we would just be diligent in following you and just helping these kids to grow and to nourish them. We love you, Jesus. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Man, appreciate that, Mike. So what we're going to do real quick is go through a little icebreaker. We'll do a 10-minute deal, 5-minute rotation. So we'll put you in the breakout room. And in that breakout room, let me go ahead and share my screen so you can know exactly what we're doing. We're going to have a little introduction of ourselves and come up and find 3 things that you all have in common. All right, 3 things that you have in common. And one thing I can just help you out right now, we all have homeschool children. Let's go. And so find 2 more things, at least, or a new 3. And then 3 things that make each one of you all unique. And it also could be your kids as well. So I got you a little breakouts so we can go ahead and get things going. I'll kind of peek in between rooms and go from there and kind of wait for some stragglers if we have some stragglers going. So we'll see you. I'll, again, rotate you in 5 minutes. So you'll see yourself shifting to a new room with some new people for the most part. So we'll see you back soon. All right. Get some folks adjusted here. Diane, did you meet some swell people? Did you meet some swell folks? Nice. Trying to see who this is at the bottom of my screen. Must be the Goulets, probably. There we go. All right. All right. So hopefully we got acquainted with some folks. We'll go ahead and continue on just to know a little bit for the Turners and the Sowells. Just give you a little background. We're going into our 4th year as an organization. Man, it's gone by pretty fast. And in this, God has just blessed us to have a great time together and just brought continued families along the way in this journey as we continue to use basketball as a vehicle to help our kids learn some life lessons. Some of them are multi-sport athletes or they do other things. Very talented. Just kind of show you just a couple of photos of our group from last year. This is them here. We have varsity boys girls team for the past 3 years. Now we're going into our 4th season. We're -2, so there are some brothers who they came later after the photo. But in this is just our group here. We've had some people leave our organization either through graduation or moving to other endeavors. I'll kind of talk about where our status lies as far as our numbers go. But you know, this is times where we just a family. We consider ourselves family. And these kids getting to know one another. A lot of these kids have grown up for pretty much majority of their lives. But we've had some additional people who come to our family. And as you can tell, you really can't tell these kids, some of these kids are meeting each other for the first time because again, we really consider ourselves family. That's the main important thing more than anything else. Yes, we're going to go out and compete in the game of basketball, and we do want to win. But more importantly is, you know, serving God, being able to serve one another and treat each other the way we're supposed to be treating each other as human beings and Christians. Other than that, I'm going to the next part to talk about this so we can move along in our meeting. for the most part, everyone knows me, but I've been coaching the varsity boys and girls for the past 3 years, going into the 4th season. Then we have Sherry Goulet. We've been together. What are we going on, year 5 or 6? Our daughters, Kayla and Ellie, have been together ever since elementary. So it's been that long, however long that's been. And so help is always needed. So like for the varsity boys, Sherry is our assistant coach for the girls and also the boys too, for last year, helping along the way, but definitely looking for someone to help with the varsity boys. So we don't have any representatives here right now, but if that comes about, we definitely are looking to have some help. The challenging piece is this: when we get to what we call our tournaments, homeschool tournaments, sometimes the timing of games don't work out as best. And sometimes we're playing at the same time, and it can be, in the same gym or 2 different gyms. Having that assistant coach is key and important. Although it's not ideal, I would want to be with both teams, but sometimes it happens that way. Tournament directors do the best they can to try to start us off playing at different times, but as the tournament goes on, if the times work, they work. If they don't, it becomes a challenge. So we kind of get separated sometimes in those situations. So having an assistant coach who has familiarity with the kids and also our offense, things of that nature, is always needed. So we will talk about that more as we see how things are going to cultivate team-wise as well. Online registration, we're going to start that on Monday. We'll definitely email that announcement, post it on our socials. We really try to work hard in staying active with social media. It's kind of tough we all work, things in that nature. And, my plate is kind of full based on, my job and what I do. But we try to stay really active to really highlight our kids. We're going to be making that value effort, especially this year. From a girls' perspective, we're really senior heavy this year. So really promoting them, especially we have a few of those seniors who do want to play at the next level. So with them doing their deal, we want to do our due diligence as well on the Saints end to be able to promote them, communicate with college coaches to be able to allow them to continue on in their basketball career at the collegiate level. So we're going to be very, very heavy in social media this year than we ever have been before, I believe, to be able to help not just our organization, but our seniors out in a great way. So in this, with our registration, definitely registration has to be completed before practice starts, which is October the 4th. When we start practice, you have different ways of paying. You can pay by check and communicate with our treasurer, Mike Goulet, about how you want to make those payments. You can do it in 1 payment, 2 payments, 3 payments. We definitely want to make sure that we get all monies in by the end of the year, because there's a lot of things that we have to do for the remainder of the season, paying for practice facilities, facilities for our games, but more importantly, tournaments. That's very vital and important as well. So we want to get those things in. We'll talk about those in more detail in the registration email, but the registration piece is key. Definitely talk to us. We're open door policy. Communication is the best thing that we can do for one another, and always having that open line of communication is key. So we don't want anybody to assume anything. Talk to us. We'll work things out. We're not, no, it's this and nothing else. Definitely, if you need, some assistance in something, definitely let us know, and we'll definitely work to make sure that our kids can be served in this capacity. As far as physicals, things in that nature, we do kind of need those for practice, not kind of, but we do, to just ensure that everything medically is good for our kids. If it gets to the point in time, because we have this often where, annuals are not up at the time we're starting practice and you have to submit. We'll submit, what you have up until the annual. And then when that annual comes about, let's just say October 4th is not annual time, and you have a November 12th date to be able to get a yearly physical. Then once you get that on November the 12th, definitely shoot us a copy so we can make sure that we're up to date with those physicals, because it's important, specifically just especially in the time that we're living in now, dealing with all these health challenges. Who are we? You'll see mission there. If you pull it up on your computer, blue hyperlinks are there. So when you click on that, it's going to take you to our about page, and what we're about in our philosophy is not long and drawn out. It's just nice, short, and sweet, with our scripture that founded our Saints organization, also our purpose as well. Again, basketball is a great tool to be able to proclaim the gospel and to do the challenges of basketball. Just like any sports, there's always a lesson learned. So we're always coming up with, valuable lessons to take away from our practices, take away from games, to hopefully that our young people will apply it to their lives and see it in their personal life, that if they're able to get through those obstacles in the game of basketball, then they can be able to get through the obstacles of life. Life is not fair, and it can come a lot heavier than basketball. So we try to be able to correlate that, and again, walk alongside you all as a complement, not a supplement to your kids when it comes to these life lessons. For our philosophy, again, this is how I've always been. Of course, I tweak things here and there, but we come with a little balance. If we have talent that we compete against that's the same level as us, or definitely lower than us, we're going to be more up tempo against that type of opponent. If our competitors are more superior than us, then we're going to change that and be more slow in that tempo as best we can in that sense. And so we press often because we believe that, being able to get more turnovers and push the ball up the court up tempo wise gives us better chances to be successful. So conditioning is the big key in this. And so, part of that is we have strength training in our basketball seasons to be able to, one, help minimize injury, but to be able to help our kids in the long run finish a long, drawn out season. You're talking about November all the way to mid-March. That's a long season, longer than public high schools or any other schools when we talk about kids these age. We will be able to have player development in our practice. That's what we really focus on in practices, is player development. So we do work on ball handling, work on the footwork and mechanics, different moves, post moves, things of that nature, pick and rolls, that type of stuff. And then we try to translate that into our scrimmage time, where we be able to learn a lot more preparing for games. The big thing about it is, and I'll tell our kids this from day one, just because you come in practice 2 days a week is not going to help you skill-wise. It's not going to be enough. You have to be able to practice on your own, and some things that we'll give our kids to be able to work on their own is going to be totally up to them. And at the high school varsity level, it is key and integral because, that's a competitive level. And so, playing time may not be at its best. During the preseason part, before we get to our heavy tournament schedule, we're getting people in for a chance to be successful. But again, we have competitive kids, upperclassmen, especially these seniors, who want to be able to win. And so we're going to do our best to put them in that position to win. So working on their own is going to be key as well. So we're going to coach the kids up. We're going to be encouraging. We're going to have fun. Kids who are new to our program might sometimes wonder in their head or wonder to their teammates, why is Coach McGarity and Coach Goulet always clowning and it's a game? We just believe in having fun. That's what we believe in. There are some times where, it's competitive. And it may not be as much joking, but we try to make it that way as much as we can, even in competitive situations. Our season expectations are in the exact order that you see on the screen: God, family, academics, and basketball. Now, just because a kid has to study for a chemistry test, and he's like, Coach, I can't make it to practice, so I got to study for this chemistry test. That's fine because they are following the order, but we have a commitment, right? Prioritizing is the key too. And I will ask your child, during this time when you had to cram all of this stuff in, where you had to miss practice, what were you doing during that time? I mean, how much TikToking will you do? Those are the kind of questions that I'll ask, right? And those things are important because, this is a commitment, and it's a big commitment. But again, through communication, we would appreciate it that if everybody's straightforward and honest with us and what they would be expecting as well as our expectations, we can be able to have a clear understanding both ways. Our eligibility policy is key and important. That's hyperlinked there. I won't go there because it make this long drawn out, but do read the eligibility requirements. We do vetting. I think for the most part, everybody here is fine, but we do vetting. We have to vet because we're a part of a homeschool league, the NCHBC, and it's become big sticklers about eligibility based on what has happened years and years and years ago through other programs who were doing things dishonestly. So we do have to vet. If a kid, for example, is coming from a public school to homeschool, from a high school perspective, there has to be special approval for that. So we definitely have to make sure that everybody is following those eligibility guidelines, which means we just can't accept everybody. Even though we're a ministry, we would love to, we just can't due to the guidelines that we have through the NCHBC. Our communication protocol is very simple. If there's ever any issues, things of that nature, one, the ultimate conversation, communication should be between the coaches and the players. That's not saying that parents can't communicate with us, but if things are going on and the player is coming to you to talk about these things, like when my daughters are asking particular things or saying certain things are going on, I'm telling them, have you talked to your coach? What has your coach said? Because I'm not going to get in the middle of that. You have to be able to have that conversation with the coach. If it's something to where, which this does not happen in our program, but if there is, some type of mental power struggle between the coach and the player, that's a different story, right? But for the most part, if it's a playing time issue, or if it's a lack of confidence issue, or just a misunderstanding, the communication with the players and the coaches is primary. But our communication protocol is, one, let's talk to the coach. Especially if I don't know what's going on, it's tough for me to change if it's never brought to my attention. So having that line of communication is key. If things seems not to change, then we get the big guns involved. So that's when Coach Goulet comes into the fold in this. And then if that's not working as well, then we just get the whole board involved. So those are the lines of communication there. And in that, it's important to make sure that we just stay as a good organization as possible. So but basically this, we at the Saints are drama free. So we don't believe in a lot of drama. We don't believe in drama, period. We really work well in harmony. And if there's things that are going on that might be offensive, let's come to each other in brotherly and sisterly love, as we've been instructed in God's word, and to live out, to be able to make sure that we have a smooth season and a smooth experience. Last year was fun for the most part with the families that we had. There were some challenges at times, especially for our boys team, and not being able to win a game last year. It was tough. Having to deal with COVID and through that process, it was challenging and it was tough. So some things that came about that our boys had ended up expressing towards the end of our season, it was very helpful. And it was growth for me as a coach to be able to understand how they felt in certain situations. So being able to grow through this process is key and important. Our season schedule. So going to be posting things up and getting confirmations from coaches. I'm going to be posting games. For the most part, our practices are on the schedule, as well as our tournament dates are on the calendar as well, I should say. So that is on our calendar now. So you can have a hindsight, but it's also here on this agenda. But you'll see the link where you can go to our calendar for that. Again, practice starts October the 4th, which is Monday. Our practices are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. You see the time below, 6 to 8 a.m., Mondays and Wednesdays, and then Thursdays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Got some feedback from one of my daughters when it came to our Thursday practices, and it's like, why can't we do 7 to 8? And I was like, never thought about it. So, and I already know why they want to push it back an extra hour, right? So in that, we do the 7 to 8. And that's primarily our strength training time, where we're really getting that strength training in. Now, we do court work on a Thursday if we're about to go out of town to play in a tournament, or if there's an important key game that we really want to make sure we got plenty of good reps in, or we reviewed, our walkthroughs with offense and defense and our schemes of what we're going to do for an important single game that we have coming up, let's say a Thursday or Friday. We will skip a strength training session on a Thursday and use the court time for that, to be able to be prepared for that. So on Thursdays of a tournament, it most likely will be on the court to make sure we're getting the reps up and being prepared mentally for that. But, again, strength training helps minimizes injury, builds that immune system up, but it gives the kids confidence to go out there and compete. Specifically, if, you have a kid who's playing against an opponent that's superior to them in size, things of that nature, it helps build that confidence within them when we do that strength training. So it's been very beneficial. Thankfully, I don't think we had any major injuries last year. Did we, Sherry? No, everybody was good for the most part, right? We had some nagging ones here and there, but, nothing that was detrimental to anybody. And so it's important that I'll also tell your young people too, that our strength training sessions on Mondays and Thursdays are not enough. We do a full 2 hour on the court on Wednesdays, but we get 30 minutes in on Monday and a full hour in on Thursdays. It's not enough. And so this year I will be giving them a layout plan as they would like to. It's not to say that they need to follow this. And this layout plan is the same plan that I do with my very own daughters. I know some others are already into it. We got Abs and Addison. They are CrossFit queens, so we're not gonna mess with them. So those type of people who already have that regimen, but those who might need some assistance in what to do in their workouts, I'll provide that this season so they can be on top of it. There is a mandatory player meeting via Zoom, and I'll have that link for you all for Monday when I talk about registration stuff. But that's going to be on the 12th of September, right before we start our fall league. So a fall league is for our high schoolers. It's a preseason league. And in this, we always participate in it. It gives us a chance to get the rust off for the players, especially new players coming into our program, to get to know their teammates and get to know how they play with each other. Gives us a free 8 games to be able to prepare for the season. And it's been beneficial each and every year we've participated in it. So I'm looking forward to that. I think they're going to start on around the week of the 20th is when they usually do that, because they want to end their league right before official practices for the girls and official practices for the boys from a public school perspective, when they can practice through UIL. We'll provide a link. There's also a commitment statement. So in that commitment statement, these kids would have to fill out. They would fill it out, the players, because it's about what they're going to commit to. And we want to be able to get to know them more, how they feel about themselves, with their spirit and their communication. It allows them to be vulnerable and honest, but at the same time, it allows us to know what we need to help them with for that season. So if they say and grade themselves as a 2 for communication, well, we're going to encourage them in how to communicate and how they can improve in their communication. So we really, take account in that. Again, our schedule is going to be slowly up. You'll start seeing game schedules up between now and the 22nd, this coming Sunday. Starting to get those confirmations in. Additional things about what we have going on. We'll add games as see fit, but with tournaments, we will never have a regular season game the week of a tournament. We're going to be playing 4 games for the most part. So we want to ensure that we're not overloading these kids with a bunch of games. That's one of the things that, we've adopted like a European model, to where we work more on player development and we use the games as a testing field. So far, it has been decent. It's helped minimize those injuries and the wear and tear for the most part. But in this, it helps us a great deal. And then on top of that, too, as we get into the schedule, with our games and the tournaments that we have, for example, a girl perspective, it's just been tough getting a response to be able to schedule games for our girls. One, we're getting back into the fold. So I was trying to get some public school games like we did last year before COVID. And it's just tough to get those in because for whatever reason. I'm not going to even speculate or even assume. So we're having to fill those in with more tournaments this year from a girls' perspective, than we've had in any other year. So that's what we're going to have to do this year for the girls. The boys as well will be the same, but the boys have more games. So we'll make sure that we be in a position to ensure that we're delivering on what we can promise. Our communication for tournaments is through GroupMe. We use that through basic communication. It's worked greatly, especially, in a game situation and we might have been given the wrong address to the wrong gym. We can hit everybody up on GroupMe. Hey, the address to this game is here, and to be able to go from there. But for the most part, I always cross-reference with directors or coaches who we're going to be visiting for the game to make sure we have the exact address. You'll always see addresses of where we're going to be in our calendar for whatever day that we're either practicing or playing. You're going to have those addresses. The only time you don't have an exact address is tournaments, because some tournaments have multiple facilities. Specifically, when we get into NCHBC tournaments and our state tournament, they're at different facilities. So normally, once the brackets are released, then I'll break it down and email in detail each address where we'll be for those games. We do have devotions, 20 to 30 minutes. We really make sure that we be on time with that, because we really want the tournament to be for more team bonding time. Family time, great, but team bonding time is important as well. And then on top of that, if we have some knuckleheads not staying on top of their work, then they can't have team bonding time because they have to do schoolwork during tournaments. So we definitely make sure that we're short on our devotions. They're meaningful, they're impactful. We definitely share those with those. Parents are always welcome to those devotions. So we just want to let you know we do that for our tournaments. And then also too, team meals. We look to fellowship as a team in some form or fashion. If it's at a hotel, because we're still dealing with COVID, let's just grab us something to eat, whatever our selection of restaurants, and then come on back at the hotel and just hang out as a group. That's very beneficial. Now, the meat of this season is tournaments. One thing about homeschool teams, we have no limits on the tournaments we play. This year, again, we had to beef it up. So here are the dates. We do have them on the calendar. One is the Fall Classic, which is one we do every single year because it's pretty much our tournament. That's going to be held October 28th through the 30th, but it's going to be at the Central Texas Fieldhouse in Buda. And the reason for that being is because this tournament continues to do well. It continues to succeed. And we need more room. We need more space. And Texas Fieldhouse, Central Texas Fieldhouse is ideal because they have 4 courts there for us to be able to have our number of games. So it's going to be beneficial for us that way. So we're going to have that there. Right now we are, and it could change because some teams might be like, if we have divisions that they registered for and it didn't make, then that'll decrease. But right now we're at 61 teams. So we'll see how that flourishes as we get closer to this. Schools just look forward to this. Teams look forward to this every year because they use this as a preseason test for the upcoming season. The following weekend, we will be going to Duncanville to the Dash Invitational. And that is because we could not, fill so far, and I don't want to wait to the last minute, fill any games. And we would have like a 2.5 week gap between the Fall Classic and the next game against Round Rock Christian before we play a game. So it's ideal for us to play in this tournament to be able to alleviate any issues that we have there. Not only that, we really want to be able to support people who support us. So Dash is going to be returning to our tournament this year. So we want to be able to return the favor. The Feast Invitational, Feast is always a big supporter of us for our tournaments, and we do the same. So you see the date, December the 11th. Usually we do play a game or a tournament coming back from the Christmas break to get ourselves ready for the season. Right now that is pending. St. Michael's is looking to launch their tournament again, but it's not certain. So we could be returning to that. Our girls did it 2 seasons ago, and it was some good competition at that time. So it's all TAP schools, all private schools at that tournament. So we'll be looking to do something there. Again, that's pending. It's not set in stone. The last remaining tournaments, as you see, I need to change these dates. or the year rather. Our Space City Jam is pretty much the pinnacle tournament that gets us ready for the main remaining tournaments. It's for the most part strictly homeschool tournament. And so that's always one we look forward to going to. That's in Houston, the 13th to 15th of January. Then we have our district tournament. It's a 2-day tournament in Houston. So we go back to Houston then a couple of weeks later. And then a couple of weeks from that is our state tournament. They've pushed it back a week where they've given each tournament a gap in between Space City Jam and then also regionals. So we'll be attending that for sure. And then it's our regional tournament. As you can see, when you see the 2 different cities, that means 2 different facilities are being used to our new families. And then also our national tournament, but that is varsity only. So for everyone all together collectively, if we had multiple teams of different age groups, we all are together until the Frisco or the regional tournament, I should say. And then our varsity teams end at nationals. Hotel booking, we'll have that solidified with all our out-of-town tournaments by September the 12th. What we do is just get a block at a certain hotel, and then we'll be able to book those book those rooms accordingly. We try to make it sufficient to where there's a link to just click on, book our rooms, and we're ready to go. But if we have to call because they don't have links, then we'll have all that information in an online spreadsheet, and then we go from there. All right. If there are any questions so far, definitely let me know. I don't want to be rumbling on, but want to get you all out of here in a timely manner. A couple of things left. Uniforms. We have uniforms that we have for the high school. We do pretty much now 2 sets of uniforms. We have a reversible white and navy blue. They are reversible. And then also the black uniforms that you saw with our teams. We brought that in just this past season. So there's those different uniforms, and we'll let you know the cost of those once we confirm that we're going to have some teams for the age groups. And then also we do shooting shirts as well. And that's the cost that you will pay for a shooting shirt. We come up with our own designs and something that's going to be meaningful for us the whole entire season. We allow the kids to pick the designs and even whatever saying that they want to go on there based on choice. And then we go ahead and make sure that we get it out and back in time for our first tournament. And so we'll get that done in a timely fashion. The thing about with our high school, this applies to them as far as the socks and shoes go. As long as within the color scheme, that's our color scheme, that's important. That being white, that being the navy blue, that being black. What shoes they want to get is totally up to them. If they want to get the $400 Jordans, then that's quite all right. But if they want to get $50 Academy shoes on sale, that's quite all right too, just as long as they fit our color scheme. That's totally up to them. The only thing that I would say, if I was to have any type of input, I would suggest that they just they don't go according to the style and the fashion. I per se, I'm not a low top fan. In the game of basketball, I just think that that's pretty much almost suicide, to wear these new low top shoes that they have today. But that's what the young people like, and that's great. The only thing about it is that they don't realize Kevin Durant is wearing like 2 to 3 inches of athletic tape around his ankles to ensure that he doesn't break his ankles in those shoes. And so just thinking about that is key. The only say so I have is for my kids. My kids are not just going to go and pick up any low top shoes. And then I got them some RoboCop braces last year that worked pretty well. So no injuries there. Thank the Lord for that. So that's what we have there in the situation with the shoes, with the socks. We know kids want to express themselves in practices. They can express themselves all they want. If they want to come with some lime pink shoes and wear them in practice, they can do that all day. I mean, go ahead and be yourself. But when we go to games, we want to ensure that we're a family, that we all look the same in that process. If any players are unsure about the shoes or things of that nature, they'll have my contact. They can shoot me a text, send me a photo. Coach, what do you think about these? And I'll let them know yay or nay. One, I'll get some feedback and be like, why did you choose this? Because I want to know why. And then I'll give them my honest opinion about it. All right. Any type of accessories. The undershirts or the sleeves, the long sleeve undershirts, it must be the color of our uniform. So, for example, if we are white, then they need to have white undershirts on. And it can't be black because most of our uniform is white. It's a part of the rules that we participate in, the NFHS, National Federation High School League for the United States, and then also UIL. We want to ensure that we abide by those, and even TAPS if we play a private school. So undershirts must be a majority, which means dark blue for our dark blue uniforms, black for our black uniforms, undershirt wise. Anything as far as the compression sleeves, they are not allowed unless it's medically, prescribed from a doctor for them to wear their compression sleeves. We understand it looks cool. But NBA players wear those compression sleeves because they are injured in some form of fashion. So we want to ensure that we do things right. We do things by the rules. And if it's a medical issue, definitely talk to us and let us know. And we'll make sure that we get the proper approval, because officials will come and ask us if we play a UIL or a TAPS team. Do you have a medical note saying that this kid can wear this sleeve? If we don't, they have to take it off, unfortunately. So definitely let us know about that. Fundraisers, as we get close to the fees and things of this nature, we do fundraisers. One of the fundraisers we do is a fanware. We'll start that in October. And that's where we'll have some Saints. The term now is swag. So we'll have Saints swag, the kids to purchase or things of that nature. And we'll ensure that we try to get this in by really the beginning of the season. If we can get those orders in, give you a time block to get orders in and go from there. We're getting logos and all that stuff worked out to ensure that we'll be ready to go for the season. We have legacy sponsorships, which will give more information once we get approval from our board as far as the sponsorships and all that stuff. And in that, you can actually get sponsorships to help cover the fees of your kiddos if you all choose to join us. So if it's, some companies or someone who is willing to donate to help with this, by all means do that. And we definitely have, different packages to where we can be able to, acknowledge them on our social media sites and also our website as well. Here are the fees. I think these fees changed one time, and that was our second year. We haven't looked back since, thank the Lord. He's always blessed us in certain situations. But our high school teams are $825. If we ever get middle schools and elementary teams, $625 and $450 respectfully. Again, we have payment plans for all of our teams, 1, 2, or 3 payment plans. And if you are needing any type of assistance or anything like that, please see our director, Sherry, or our treasurer, Mike, when it comes to those, when it comes to fees and payments and things like that. So definitely see Sherry if you have some type of challenge from a financial sense, and they will be able to let you know how things can proceed from there. Definitely, I wouldn't know any information. I would just shoot you right to Sherry or Mike. So it'd be easy for you just to contact them directly. Other than that, we are always in need of volunteers as far as our parents are concerned. Volunteers are needed for Scorebook, for Score Clock at times. If we are, at a tournament and even at our home games, that's needed. And then also recording our games. From a high school perspective, we use Huddle. And if you're not familiar with that, it's a video editing organization, business that actually breaks down. It makes the job easier for me, breaking down and statting up our games and going from there. And I can just go in and make whatever adjustments I can. And we use that for the players to scout. But even for our competitive kids wanting to play at the next level, they can put highlights together. I can put highlights together and be able to send it to coaches, things of that nature, to be able to look forward to a brighter future collegiately. So we definitely use that. And we are in need of volunteers in those different areas. And so if you are wanting to volunteer in the area, just help us and let us know. We have Scorebook Gurus. We got Larissa on here, who does a tremendous job in taking score for our games. Definitely Armando does a wonderful job as well with video. So definitely those are people who I will refer you to. Diane is another one who does great scorebook for our games. So talking with those people, if you're interested in those, would be people I would send you to. All right. That is it. Man, I'm getting good at this. Anybody got any questions?
Hey,
I have a
Coach,
question real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just curious, how likely or unlikely will it be that 12U team will come together?
Got you. Yeah, Michelle, what I can say is throughout the past years, where we've gotten this started like we normally do, I want to say the most interest that we've had was probably 3 to 4 girls. And in that, again, we put the word out, and we talk to, we encourage families to talk to one another. In the homeschool sector, it's actually finicky. This is why I request these kind of things. So just to let you know the method to my madness, let me just let you know how I look at things here. Come on. I think my computer is saying I'm tired, boss. I've been working all day. So here's the method to my madness. So when you fill out an information form, this is what I do. I put a little depth chart together. So as you can see, from high school boys, and don't let the age groups concern you, because I'm just letting you know age-wise what these players are eligible to play in. Now, Mark was on our varsity team last year, but Mark, is still 16U eligible. Doesn't mean we're going to make a 16U. It just means that he's eligible. So, if these guys are able to play at a varsity level, they would be on varsity, of course, because again, it's all about them being successful. But we did lose a boy. We originally had 6, but we lost one. So we're now down to 5 for our girls. Again, this is only based on who completed the information form. So there could be people be like, I'm joining, but they just never filled out the form, but they'll end up registering, and then that's an added body, right? So girl wise, we have 8 interests at the high school level. But then when we go down, these are all the people who filled out the information form. We have 1 young lady who filled out for 12U girls. So right now, if you were to fill it out, Michelle, then it would be 2 girls. But again, we just don't know. Homeschool families that I've just found out doing this thing, 11 years now, is, me, I'm a visual person. And when I think that nothing's going to happen, the next thing you know, folks just come out of the droves, honestly. And the biggest testament I can tell you, Michelle, is last year, we didn't know if we was going to have a girls or a boys team. And lo and behold, families just came out of nowhere, and we were able to have a varsity boys and girls team. Although we haven't serviced anything below high school in the 3 years going into our 4th, right now, if we look at history, maybe not, but again, we just don't know.
Okay, now if she still wanted to participate and there was only a high school team available to her, is that going to work, or is that something you would rather avoid?
I want her to be successful. That's what I want her to be. And I would have to take a look at her to see if she's able to do that. The one thing I can tell you, the youngest that I personally coached and that was successful at the varsity level was a 7th grader, which was our first year as the Saints. And she was the most emotional, and I'm not saying your daughter's emotional, but she was the most emotional young lady that you can ever put at that level. That was a tall task for her. That was a huge ask for her. But through encouragement, through the love and support of not just the coaching staff, but those players, she was able to get through that season and did very well. I'm not opposed to saying your daughter's 12U. Oh, no. I mean, she could be successful, but it's all about that assessment, if that makes sense. I would have to assess her, and then I'm just going to truly go with my gut feeling. And y'all know me. I'm just going to be honest with y'all and be like, no, I don't think it's going to work. And I don't have a problem with that. And there's other opportunities as well. A couple of other organizations And I'll just be honest and straightforward with you in that situation.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Mondo.
Hey, Coach. Yeah, I had a question. That latest email that Robin sent out earlier today, is that going to affect player or this fees for the players? Because I know the prices are going up for tournament entries and things like that.
Uh-oh, what email did he send?
He sent here, I'll shoot you the link right now.
Okay.
So they haven't raised their prices in years, according to him. And but because of COVID and the lack of sponsorship, they're increasing. Mostly it's 18U, which is what our teams mostly are. So the younger age groups are staying the same or are going down. But for 18U, they're raising the entry fees. For instance, and I don't know what it was before. You guys obviously do, but for nationals, it's $750 per team for 18U boys and 18U girls. So I don't know if that's how much more that was from last year, but
$50.
Okay. So and then I think again, they have the various, for district and regionals, and then they're doing player fees different as well. So they're including that at the district player fee, regionals, and then nationals. If you sign up early though, like for instance in district, then it's $0. But anyway, just I didn't know if that was being tracked. They sent it really late this afternoon.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't get it. Okay. Yeah.
Actually, I got it through social. I think it was on Twitter or something like that. That's how I got to it. They posted on Twitter. So
Gotcha. Okay. I appreciate that heads up. I'll definitely look into that.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Anybody else? All right, folks. Well, appreciate that. We'll keep everybody, informed. I'll send a Sunday email, probably Monday, since registration opens, about full details. I'll just do that just Monday, so not bombarding y'all with emails. We'll do that and go from there. Again, if you know of any families who are interested, have them to contact us or shoot them, forward them those emails. Let them know, hey, here's our situation. Coach McGarity is needing to know. And that way you could be able to, we can get the ball rolling and let people know what our status is going to be. I want to be able to let people know early on so they can make other decisions to move forward elsewhere if we're not going to be able to serve a particular age group, if that makes sense. So again, open line communication. I'm not an individual who gets his feelings hurt and things of that nature. And if this is not something that's going to be, where you're going to be a part of the Saints, just let us know. It's not like we're going to turn up a frown nose to you. And if we see you walking down, we're going to walk the other direction and things of that nature. Life is life, and we all are objected to our opinions. That's what's great about this world. So definitely let us know. And we'll definitely continue to know where we stand and what we need to do. But we're definitely going to look forward to moving forward. I can tell you now, once we check with everybody, about our teams, then we'll say, hey, we're moving forward with this particular team. But especially for the younger groups, it's tough for us to put a schedule together not knowing. And that's what we cannot do. So once we have that idea, and once you have your commitment, and for us, especially for me personally, commitment is once you complete the registration form and you put your $20, registration fee down, it's like, all right, there we go. I did say 25. That you showed 52. Now you just said 2. You got to reverse it.
I'm not a ref. That's 25. It's a $25 deposit.
$25 deposit. There you go. $25 deposit. So once you do that, that lets me know, yes, we're serving this age group, and then we go from there. All right. All right. Other than that, thank you all very much. We're going to go ahead and pray out, but you all have a great evening, and we will stay in contact. Armando, you mind taking us out, bro?
Sure. Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for your many blessings, and thank you for the saints and the ability we have to have our kids participate. I pray you bless each of the families here and bless the program as we start a new season. It's for your beautiful name we pray, amen.
Amen. All right. Thank you all. You all have a great Thursday evening and a great weekend. We will see you all next time.
Thank
Okay,
you. Good
thanks.
night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Trista! ¿Qué pasa, baby?
I'm unmuted.
All right.
I have some questions.